Good day, everybody. I am here with Luke. Luke. We were just having this conversation. I said I was going to mess it up. There's a little French Canadian here, and I'm going to say it for me. Let me hear it.
Yeah, it's Luc. Yeah, we say
Luke.
Luc.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
I
But
love
everyone
it.
just calls me Luke. I
Luke.
like to say, it's funny. My daughter started calling me Luc recently, and it's pretty funny hearing her say that now that
How
she's in
old?
French school.
How old?
She just turned 5 in September.
Even better.
Yeah,
I want to, I so wish she was there right now so I could hear it because that would make my heart smile. I have no doubt. And
yeah.
she could teach me. Anyways, my
Mhm.
friend, thank you so very kindly for joining me here today. I have been excited to connect with you for how long now? I think
It's,
it's
yeah,
been a
it's
while.
been some time. I know. I know. I'm really happy that we're doing this finally. So thanks for having me.
I want to dive right in. I want to know everything about you because I caught tidbits. I follow you online. And I mean, obviously, I think we have a lot in common in terms of perhaps how we manage some things and some of our life journeys. So let's start from the beginning. If you were going to give that like quick pitch, tell us about you.
Okay, so maybe I'll start with where I'm at now. So
Even better.
I'm coming on 8 years of sobriety.
Congratulations, my friend. That's
Thank you.
amazing.
It's been a journey.
Yeah.
I identify as a sober dad, sober husband, and sober marathoner. I've
Amazing.
really undergone huge transformation, and so that's the
Amazing.
identity that I'm proud of.
I like it.
It's taken time. It's been a journey, like I said, to get to where I am. So to maybe, stepping back a bit, I grew up in, just outside of Toronto,
Okay.
and I had a, great family, mom and dad, really supportive. But, I guess being French Canadian and half Italian, there was a
Mhm.
lot of socializing with my family, a lot of drinking. So
Okay.
it was very
Yep.
much normalized, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I grew up with that. I mean, my dad struggled actually with alcohol. We never talked about it as a family.
Mhm.
My being the eldest of two, I used to cry a lot as a kid, like when my parents would fight. So
Yeah.
I really it really ate me up inside. But yeah, just growing up, I had a great life, a lot of opportunities, and I was kind of in denial a bit with my struggle with alcohol.
Yeah.
And it got worse in university and after school, when I was living
Okay.
on my own, and then it was
Yeah.
just like a struggle where I didn't want to, like, look, I never wanted to be sober ever. Like the fact that
No.
I can just say I'm coming on 8 years is pretty wild because I never wanted to be sober. Like I thought sobriety was for people not like me. I was a bit,
Say more
you
about
know,
that. What do you mean not like
yeah.
me?
See, that's the thing because I was fooling myself.
Yeah.
I was, always had a, I took care of myself in the sense that, like, I was in the gym a lot. Like, I would still
Yeah.
find a way to, like, work out. Was had a steady job, right?
Mhm.
I had my own place. I had a car. So it's like,
Mhm.
it's not that bad because I'm able to, you know,
Function.
get through the day and show
Yeah.
up when
Yeah.
it's kinda needed. Like, I can
Yeah.
fake it kinda, you know what I mean? And I was
Yeah,
like,
I
"That's
do.
okay, like, that's life, like, it's okay to feel like shit. It's okay to, like, regret things, and, like,
Yeah.
that's what it is. You work hard and you play harder." And that was, like, my whole that was my life, right?
It sounds like maybe the justification is you've earned the right to play hard because you're still
To
functioning in life.
exactly,
And so it's
exactly.
yeah, and it's I mean, I'm at this like place in my life right now where I'm just so introspectively inside myself and like reevaluating everything, and I just love connecting with people and hearing their stories and their journeys, especially with things that I can connect with. One of those things being what you just said around, I was always able to force myself to go to the gym and take care of myself. And I mean, knowing now what you know, how much of going to the gym is taking care of yourself.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's not, there's so much more to it, right? It's,
Yeah,
like, the physical and the mental is, I mean, I'm a big believer in mind and body are connected, absolutely,
absolutely.
but, um but just the freedom that I have now by
Mhm.
struggling with alcohol and drugs is completely transformed my life. It's changed my life big time.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, fool anybody that I have it all figured out, right? Like I definitely don't.
Oh,
I still
no.
have things I'm working on, and my
Yeah.
wife and I still, we still fight, and sometimes I'm impatient. My temp, I have, I'm not perfect. Like, and
Yeah.
that's the thing that I really want to be careful, not careful, but like really clear about is that, yeah, I'm online and I'm sharing this sobriety story, but I really catch myself be real. Like, how is it? Like, it's not perfect, but I'll tell
Mhm.
you, my lows aren't as low
Mhm.
and my highs
Yeah.
aren't as high. But you know what? I just turned 40 this year, right?
Yeah.
I'm a dad. Like, I want to be like more consistent in my life,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah. I think that's huge. I think consistency is something that everybody, especially on a journey where you've chosen to share the vulnerability of the struggles you have in your life. I think it's this like balance. And I don't know about you, but I know for myself, I often find myself trying to portray the best version. And it's really easy to kind of step out there and say, like, hey, yeah, like these are all the things I'm doing right. But
Mhm.
behind the scenes, I mean, we have to be honest. There's still a lot of things
Yep,
we could be doing a lot better.
big time,
So
big time.
go back for a second. So university, what were your plans? What were your dreams? I mean, you went to school. What did you go to school for?
Yeah, so I went to school for I took French and sociology,
Okay. And
and
what was your hope? What were you going to
so
use these for?
my hope, Kendra, it was I wanted to be like I wanted to play hockey for a
Yep.
living. Like that was
Yep.
my dream.
Yep.
I was on skates at 2 years old. Hockey was my life for 15, 16, 17 years.
Yep.
Didn't go as planned. I mean, a
Eh,
part of that was I just
yeah.
probably wasn't good enough. That's
Okay.
the fact.
Okay.
But I was also like I also had a lot of, like, good natural talent, like, despite
Good.
being, short. I'm not a big guy, but I
I
was a
mean,
good
you look
hockey
6
player.
feet tall to me.
Yeah, in the camera, exactly. Maybe in real life, I'm pretty sure, but that's kinda like where, I think a bit of my redemption with this whole I'm sure we'll get into the running thing, but it's like, so I wanted to play hockey, so I was
Yeah.
never big in school, so what does school look like? I was a party guy.
Yeah.
Through thick and thin, like, my identity was life of the party. Like, hang around Luke, he'll get the party going. It'll be a fun. We'll
Read
have
the
fun.
yearbook. Read the
Yeah,
yearbook. There it is.
that's it. So, like,
Hashtag.
university was like, I went to Wilfrid Laurier in Waterloo,
Mhm.
great school.
Mhm.
But I party a lot. Like, pretty much like Wednesday to Sunday night would be a big party. Monday,
Yeah.
Tuesday, probably Monday recovery, or like I was going out like probably 5, 6 days a week,
Yeah.
easily.
Which is easy to do when you get away to school and all of the sudden you get the autonomy and freedom to manage yourself, and like you said, I mean, you were functioning, you were taking care of yourself, so you've got permission.
Yeah. And, I knew that it was, like, it wasn't great because I had a steady girlfriend in university.
Mhm.
And then after school, we ended up buying a place.
Okay.
So we moved, just the two of us. And then quickly after that, maybe 6 months of living together, just the two of
Mhm.
us, we ended up breaking
Mhm.
up. And a big part of
Mhm.
that was my drinking, like
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
99% of our fights were about my drinking.
Yeah.
And and then I feel like after that, things just escalated for me. Like, they got worse.
Okay.
And by worse, I mean I started doing drugs.
Okay.
And then once I was introduced to that,
And
then
what drugs, if you don't mind me
it
asking?
yeah, cocaine.
Okay. So you can
Yeah.
drink longer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I just felt, invincible on that.
Yeah.
And it was never like a few beers were never enough.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, it's not like every time I drank, I needed to do that. But if I had like at least three beers, kind of three was my number. If I had like three and it was like I'm having fun and
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
available, I was doing it.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't available, and then I would go look for it.
Okay. Okay. And when you
So
couldn't find
that's
it?
when then I couldn't find it, or it was just I really started just complicating my life. And
Yeah.
now I was working full time, living on my own. and it was
Yeah.
scary because
That's
I
such a
could be
great way of
gone.
saying that, sorry. I
What's
don't mean
that?
to I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's such a great way of saying that. I started to
What did I
complicate my
say?
life. I
Oh,
started
yeah.
to complicate my life. I really like that.
Yeah.
'Cause it's I mean, it resonates so well for somebody who, has their own sober journey. It's something that that's such a great way of putting it. Sorry to interrupt you. That just
No.
that connected.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, look, we love complicating things like, we love making things
You're
way more
not wrong.
complicated. You know what I mean? It's like that's what it was doing. Um,
Mhm.
and like I was saying, I knew that something needed to change. I was
Yeah.
actually at least somewhat open-minded in the sense that I was accepting the fact that I needed to do something different, and I started actually going to therapy. I started seeing a
Okay.
therapist around my drinking,
Okay. So
uh,
specifically for the drinking.
specifically for my drinking.
Okay.
We were working together for quite some time, and it was always around moderation. It was
Okay.
always like how like my goal was to be a better drinker. Like
So not to
how do I
stop.
just
Yeah.
yeah, not to stop. No, no, no. Never wanted
Okay.
to stop. Never
Okay.
wanted to stop.
Yeah.
How do I how do I just not, get activate that other gear in me that once it's
Mhm.
activated, there's no taming me? Like
Mhm.
how do I not become that person? So how do
Mhm.
I stop at, 2 drinks? How do I have 3 drinks and just take it easy? How do I just enjoy the night and not, need to make everything so extra? That was always the
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah.
That was always the goal.
And so you get to a point where you've recognized, identified that there's a problem, which is obviously as cliche as it sounds, that's always the first step, which is great.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, arguably, and as somebody who's been sober, this is just a factual statement. As somebody who's been sober for 24 years now, um,
Wow.
I yeah, and again,
Congrats,
like,
Kendra. That's
thank you. And
wow.
I mean, something I don't
24
really
years.
talk about, something this isn't
Wow.
part of my journey that I ever really get into, which is part of the reason
Wow.
I love having this conversation today, because it's something that, um, drinking was a symptom of my addiction, somebody told me recently, and it's true, right? I mean, when it comes to being an addict, quote unquote, you're not an addict because you're drinking. Drinking is just the byproduct. Drugs are just the
Totally.
byproduct. It's just the
Yeah.
symptom of what your actual issues are stemming from,
Yeah.
we can be sober from our I feel like I'm, like, repeating somebody else's words right now because this is such a recent
Mhm,
conversation,
mhm.
but you can be sober from substances and still very much be an addict.
100%. That and you know what? I totally agree with that, by the way.
Yeah.
Like drinking and drugs is for me, it wasn't really the it was like almost a solution for the problem. Like that's what I would go
Mhm.
to
Felt
mask.
like felt
Felt
like
like
the
it felt,
solution.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely not the solution, but
Yeah.
felt like the solution. And
So
that's exactly yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
curious, this
Yeah.
therapist that you went to and were working with to learn how to be a better drinker, I mean, did they maybe key you into the fact that being a better drinker wasn't gonna necessarily help, or we didn't figure it out yet?
To be honest, I ask myself that question a lot, and I
Okay.
think I am a part of that, of absolutely. I think there's an element of me not being 100% honest and open about stuff. So there's
Yeah.
definitely like I own that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know if for the part that I played in it, it never became like let's consider sobriety, let's do sobriety, let's try not drinking.
Yeah.
Because I guess I was good at saying the right thing or whatever it was to just kinda get through. Because in my heart, I did not want to be sober. I was
Yeah.
actually scared shitless of being
Oh,
sober, so I never
100%.
would've brought that up, right?
Yep. Yep. And, like,
So
eh, I'm very connected to this conversation right now because I'm finding myself in a stage in my own life right now where, like you said earlier, we don't always have it figured out, and I don't. Like, I mean, I've been now a professional speaker for 14 years. I was diagnosed with mental illness 24 years ago. I've been sober 24 years, and there are days that it feels like day one. There are days that it's like life sits you down and says, "Do you know how little control you actually have over the world around you?" And I'm in that right now.
Yeah.
I am like smack dab in the middle of that right now. And
But
something I've had to consider as recently as this morning. I mean, and I owe you. I asked you today, and I'll be sharing a post about this later. So I figure I better come clean now. I asked you this morning if it was okay if we push back our recording time to 1 o'clock this afternoon because I needed to drop my boys off at school, which was indeed true. I was not lying. But the other piece of that was I needed to start with a new therapist this morning. And
mhm,
I received a notification that I could start with this therapist at 9 o'clock this morning. And so it was going to make it impossible then to start our recording time.
right.
And I've realized I struggle with asking for what I need, but I also know that I can manipulate a therapist better than anybody. And
Yeah,
so since I lost my therapist 3 years ago, and since then I have made every excuse for not starting therapy again
yeah.
because I already know what they're
Wow.
going to tell me. I
Yeah,
already know
that's right.
enough. I can
That's
show
right.
up to a therapist and be like, "Look at everything I just got through. How good
Yeah,
am I?"
right.
And today, for the first time in 24 years, I sat down with a therapist and said, "I need help." And that
Mm,
was the first time in 24
wow.
years I've heard those words come out of my mouth.
Wow.
So
Look
I
at
have
you.
so much appreciation for you sitting there saying and calling yourself
Yeah.
on, I knew how to say the right things.
Kendra, I have so much I have a lot of respect for you just following you and knowing your story, but, like, hearing you just say that right now, like, that is very powerful. Someone like you, this mental health advocate, specialist, to be able to be so real and just be like, "Hey, like, I'm working on things myself. I have bad days too." Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think more people need to truly hear that, especially from people that I'm sure they look up to, like, wow,
Mhm.
Kendra, like
Mhm.
doing a lot of good things. Like, I want to be exactly like Kendra. But you know what? Kendra has bad days too. Kendra needs some support too. We all need support. And there's
And
nothing,
we always need to keep working at it, and that's the
yes,
thing. I think
yes,
that's the biggest message I think that
yes,
people like yourself and myself are responsible for, which is, yeah, I can share a lot of incredible information that I've gained over the years. I can share all of my experiences and I can teach you what I've been taught or what I've learned, but I also can't ever let myself get to the place of, "Hey guys, I can carry this and I'm good and
totally.
I'm just gonna keep teaching and not learning." And that's what I realized. That's
Yep,
this past week has put me in a position where I was forced to realize again, for the however many hundredth time in my life
yep,
that I'm not doing enough. And I say that with as much compassion as I can find for myself right now. And I recognize that my life experiences over the past 2 years, more specifically 6 months, have been phenomenally difficult. But that doesn't give me permission to excuse myself from showing up for myself and
hmm,
doing the work. And that's what I've done. It's
I love that.
I can admit that. I can
Um,
admit that I've not been doing the right things and I don't like who I am when I'm not doing the right things. And that is the
that's
addict,
so
right?
cool.
That is the seeking behaviors that make it possible to feel like we're functioning
Yep.
and pretend we're still sober. And here I am calling myself on my shit. And thank you for giving me that opportunity
No,
because
I'm so happy.
it takes the connection and the understanding of somebody who truly has space and understands it to really be able to mirror that back on yourself, I think.
Hmm. I'm really liking this conversation, Kendra, and I'm really proud of you. That takes a lot of guts,
I
and
appreciate you.
I'm really happy you shared this. Complacency is the enemy. The moment we
Truly.
think everything is fine, right? I got this, whatever it is,
Yeah.
it could be anything,
Yeah.
sobriety, whatever's going on in your life. But like you said, it's a work in progress, and
Yeah.
it's truly is as cliche as it is, one day at a
Yeah.
time. That's what it is,
100%.
one day at a time.
100%. Yep.
Sometimes people ask me. I used to get defensive. So Luke, when are you going to drink again? Right? Like, when
Oh,
they find out I
I
was,
still
like,
get
when are
it.
you going to drink again? Yeah, I
It's
still
been
get
long
it, right?
enough.
But it doesn't bother me
Yeah.
as much. But my answer is like, I'll drink when I feel, when I want to have a drink, I'll have a drink.
Yeah.
But what I always say is, I'm not going to drink today. Like
Yeah.
today, I'm not going to drink. I feel
Yeah.
good. I know I'm not going to drink today. Tomorrow, I'll deal with tomorrow,
Yeah.
because it's so easy. Like, I know when I started, I was like, does this mean I'm never going to drink again? Like, holy
Yeah.
shit, ever?
How
It's like,
overwhelming.
am I
Yeah.
gonna be married to one person and just be with that one person forever? Like, oh my God, like how scary. Like who talks like that? Right? Our minds go there. But like you can't let yourself go to that place
Yeah.
because frankly, it's depressing.
Yeah.
It's sad. I look at it, it's like
Well,
it's
it's
sad.
fear. It's
It's
fear.
fear.
It's allowing yourself to make your world really small in the fear of what you can't control. And I mean, I think that's so much about addictions, right? Is really giving up that control and giving into the fact that you can only put your energy into what you have control over. And you have control over whether or not you drink today. And the
Totally.
best you can do is keep your world in a state that makes it possible for you to be supported and maintain that. But I'm curious, sorry, now that I completely hijacked that for a moment.
No, I'm happy
Um,
we went there.
we have to. I'm not one of those people who's ever just like I don't do this because I'm the greatest interviewer in the world. I do this because I love connecting with people and I
Mhm.
love learning from other people's experience. I mean, I wrote down that I was complicating my life. I already wrote it down. Like I'm totally going to use that and I will credit you. Don't worry. But like
I'm not worried
I
about that.
I I love connecting with people in a way that I get to learn. I value so much people offering themselves and their time for that. Um, but so how did we get to quote unquote sober? Because it wasn't with a therapist who was helping you to become a better drinker.
No. No, I think what got me to that point was just, frankly, I was just sick and tired of my own shit. Like
Mhm.
it just, I had screwed up just the perfect amount, like just enough to
Okay.
be like, hey, I actually don't want this. I was in a steady relationship. My girlfriend, we met in 2011. I was
Okay.
in the peak of my addiction from basically 2011. Actually, yeah, 2011 to like 2016 when I got sober. So 5 years of our dating, and now she's my wife, and
Amazing.
we've been together, since 2011. Get married since 2016, so coming on 8 years.
That's
I
amazing.
put her through a lot, right? Because she was with me the entire time,
Mhm.
and it was just frankly sick and tired. Like it wasn't like she gave me an ultimatum. Hey, Luke, I'm gonna leave you if you continue. I never got an ultimatum. I was just
Mhm.
frankly sick of my shit. And what happened was a pivotal thing happened.
Okay.
It was right around this time, 2016. It was actually December, right around the holidays. And I had a night out, and it just was another one of those nights, right? A lot of drinking, a lot of drugs, a lot of regret. Woke up, felt like shit, like a lot of other nights. But
Yeah.
this night, it just felt different. This morning, I should
Okay.
say, felt different. I was just so tired of it. I was so done. I was done. And what I did was I raced to my computer and I Googled therapist in Toronto. I was determined to find someone else to talk to,
Yeah.
and it was an absolute blessing. It was
Amazing.
absolute gift that I was able to connect with this one therapist the same day. Okay,
That's
I
incredible.
emailed at like call it 11 a.m.
Yeah.
That afternoon. I was in his office right
Amazing.
on Bloor Street,
Amazing.
and I saw him, and I was fresh off this, bender,
Yeah.
anxiety, everything, and there was no holding me back
Yeah.
because I had done the whole, not being truthful up front. Like I gave him all the goods. Call it
Yeah.
20 minutes of me just spewing everything out.
Yeah.
And he looks at me right up like I'm done. And he looks at me and goes, Luke, you can never be drinking again. And I was
Good for
like,
him.
what do you mean? What do you like? No. And I was debating him. I was like, I'm French
Yeah.
Canadian. I'm Italian. It's
Oh,
my culture. This is my
yeah.
culture. Like, no, like you crazy. Debate, debate, debate. Finish the session. I go in my car and I couldn't stop crying. I could not. I was just hysterical. Like I was just nonstop crying because I knew that what he was saying, there was something there, right? There was
Yeah.
something that I was like, look, you fucked up just enough. Like, listen to this man, listen to him, because no one had ever talked to me like that. My other therapist, nobody, girlfriend, my parents, friend, nobody like looked at me in the eyes and said that to me. I was blown away. So from that moment on, with
I'm
that
really happy
session,
I didn't do a lot of eye makeup today.
that session changed my life. changed my
That's amazing.
life.
That's
And from
amazing.
that moment on, I was like open-minded to not never drinking again, but to like taking a break, like taking a
Yeah,
pause from alcohol.
yeah, yeah.
And then
I
that's
think
when kind of, yeah,
that's so powerful. That's so
right?
incredible. Yeah,
Like the
that
fact that
moment
I
of
was
just
able to see
breaking
him
yourself open and
like right around the holidays, saw him the same day. It was just like a truly a blessing.
yeah,
And then what
yeah,
happened, so I was open-minded. I wasn't like 100% bought in either, eh? I wasn't like I was way closer than ever, but I wasn't like 100% I'm gonna be sober. I was still had a lot of hesitancy. So
yeah,
my next session, I had another follow-up session. He says, "Okay, Luke, I'm gonna put you into CAMH, Center for Addiction Mental Health. I'm sure you're
yeah,
familiar with it. We're on
yeah,
Queen
yeah,
Street."
yeah.
He's like, "Luke, you're gonna go there and put you in with group sessions. It's gonna be great." Okay, perfect. So he puts me in. I guess the people in the group were more advanced with drugs than like alcohol,
Okay.
but it was also drugs, right? So
Mhm,
it was an advanced group. So
mhm.
I go whatever a few days later, I go to this session at CAMH. I drive my car, right? Um, I show up, come from like it's during lunch, so I'm wearing like business clothes. I sit in there, and then whatever 10 to 15 minutes in, they start asking about like best practices. What are we doing to like feel good about what we're doing? Right? It's not hard. It's not easy, but like what's the best practice? What are you doing? So I
Yeah.
stood up. I was one of the first. I think I was the first guy, second person to talk, and
Mhm.
I was like, "Hey, I had just downloaded this app, and I like to keep track of the days that I haven't had a drink." And at that time, it was like whatever it was, 3, 4, 5 days. It's like I
Yeah.
like keeping track of the hours. It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And everyone in the room looked at me, and they're like, You have a phone. Like, you have a phone." It's like, "Yeah, I have a phone." Then I kind of just sunk in. Like, I was like looking around. I was like, "Holy shit. I had a phone." Like, I was like, "Oh my God." It was like such a big eye opening moment for me.
Mhm.
Because for me, I guess for the first time, it was like, I'm not invincible on this fucking thing. Just because I've been able to somewhat hold it together from the outside doesn't
Yeah.
mean that I can't fucking become like everyone in this room. It was a
Yeah.
moment for me where I was like, this can be you, Luke, if you don't fucking change your course. Because I knew the shit I was doing, being away
Yeah.
for 48 hours, random places, really scary shit. I was like,
Yeah.
this is going to be me if
Yeah.
you don't fucking get your act together.
Yeah.
And it was just enough for me to see it. And then
Mhm.
from that moment on, I had just decided I was just not going to drink. I knew my heart that alcohol
Yeah.
wasn't good for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you were like making a comment earlier about the simplicity of saying it was complicating my life. The
Mhm.
simplicity of what I say to myself now
Mhm.
is that I'm allergic to alcohol.
Fair.
Like, I'm allergic. If I was allergic
Yeah.
to peanut butter,
Fair.
right? If I was allergic to peanut
Mm.
butter, would I put a bit of peanut butter in the morning? Yeah, just a little bit, it's not that bad. I'll just put it on a small piece of my banana in the morning. Like, no, I'd be like, "Fuck no, I cannot touch that shit. I'm just
It'll
gonna
kill
break
me.
out in fucking shit," right?
It'll kill me.
So,
Yeah.
from that moment on, that's when the journey that's my journey. But here's the interesting thing, Kendra, not a lot of people know this, is that I was sober for 5 years, okay? 5
Mhm.
years,
Mhm.
and, nobody knew. I mean, other than close friends. None of
Mhm.
my colleagues knew I was sober.
Yeah.
I just would make a lot of good excuses
Yeah.
why I wasn't drinking. I just wouldn't show up to a lot of places. I was
Yeah.
embarrassed
Of
of the
course.
fact that I was sober. I was in
Yeah.
the sober closet. I was just like,
Yeah.
I don't want to identify as sober because I was ashamed of myself. I was
Yeah.
like, Luke, you're sober. You're a man. You're sober. You're weak. You can't drink with the
Yeah.
boys. There's something wrong with you. You're a loser. That's how I
Yeah.
felt. I felt like a loser.
Yeah.
I was sober. I was a loser.
Yeah, it's one
And
of
I
those labels. It's one of those labels that it's like sobriety comes with the implication that you're not perfect. It comes with the implication that you're not invincible. And it's one thing when you get to that realization yourself. It's a whole other thing having to admit that to the world or choosing to.
Yeah, and I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want
Right.
anyone to know.
Yeah.
I was like this no, like, I would make excuses. I never told anybody, "Hey, I'm coming up on 5 years sober." Never,
Yeah.
never. And then another thing, pivotal moment, there's a few pivotal moments that happened for me.
I want to know
And
them
then part of
all.
the reason why I'm so, excited to talk to you and just love sharing my story. I've been doing it for 2 years now. Is that I want people to realize that you don't need to, wait X amount of days, years to like make true
No.
change, eh?
No,
True
not at
change.
all. Yeah.
Like you can do that right away. So that's a
Yeah.
huge motivator for me to get
Yeah.
to share this. Um, so while I was sober for 5 years and in the sober closet, never talked about it. I also got into running. I picked up running on my journey,
Okay.
and I went all in. Like everything I do in life, it's either 0 or 100. Running
All
became
or
100.
nothing.
All
I
or
feel
nothing,
like
right?
I feel like that might be telling of some of us folk.
Yeah, exactly. So all or nothing. Picked up running 2019. Did 10K. Did a half marathon that year. Then I got a running coach. Trained for marathon running, running, running. COVID, run, 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 run. Races are canceled. I went all in.
Mhm.
I ended up with this goal. I was like, I want to qualify for the Boston Marathon, right? I hated running my entire life. Now all of a sudden I'm a runner. I qualify for the Boston Marathon, my first marathon, Georgina. It
Incredible.
was an inaugural marathon, qualify for Boston. I was like,
Incredible.
fuck yeah, Luke. Be
Yeah.
fucking proud of yourself. And at that time, I was just coming up on my 5-year anniversary. So it's
Yeah.
like, Luke, hang on a second. You've been sober for almost 5 years, and now you just qualify for this huge race. Like,
Yeah.
be proud of yourself. Hello, this is a good thing, Luke.
And
And I was like, I actually am starting to feel proud of myself. And I was like, you know what? I actually want to let people know what I've been up to for the past 5 years. Like
yeah.
truly what I've been doing, what I've been working on.
Yeah.
And I was like, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? My Instagram is private. My Facebook, private, very much private. Everything was private. Nobody knew, right? But then I was like, you know what's not what I can do that's not private is LinkedIn.
Yeah, okay.
So at the time, I worked for a large global tech company,
I
one of the biggest
I
tech companies in the world.
I only
Okay.
because I've looked at your LinkedIn, I already know
Okay.
the answer, but I won't say it.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I need to let like my boss, well, actually my boss knew we were really tight, but that's
Okay.
different. But like, friends of like my colleagues, other leaders, I needed to let them know. I was ready to let them know. So I was like, how am I going to do this? I did it on LinkedIn. I made a post, scared shitless, by the way, back and forth
Of
in my head. Am I
course.
actually going to do this?
Of
Am I actually
course.
going to do this? And I shared a picture of my daughter sitting on my lap that my wife did a sign for me that said I'm 5 years sober. And then I shared a picture of my Boston qualifier. So it was like basically two pictures. And I wrote like 3 paragraphs, nothing long. Hey, I made some changes. Whatever. I forget exactly what I said, but I posted about, hey, I've been sober for 5 years. And I was scared shitless, but I didn't really think too much of it. It was late at night that I posted it. I
Mhm.
wake up the next morning and my
Yeah.
phone is just blowing up. Like I'm getting email or DM messages on LinkedIn from like old teachers, high school teachers. I'm getting like people I don't know, old friends, like just everybody. And I was like, holy shit. There's something here because people are either I found related personally or through because of a friend, or they just wanted to say congrats. Right.
Yeah.
There was just a
Yeah.
lot of like support I felt. And
Yeah.
that was another huge moment for me because in that whole process of being proud and just owning my story, that's when my identity changed. I went from like this like life of the party, guy who's like trying not to drink, but to now like the person who I don't drink. I'm sober actually, and
Mhm.
and I clearly have a lot of pride in those identities. And then from that moment on, everything changed because I was just proud, and it just felt so liberating to let people in, and I didn't have the shame anymore. I didn't feel like I was a loser because I was sober. I was proud. I was like, this is actually a really fucking good thing, Luke. Good for you. And now it's like I want to let people know that it's not sober is the answer. My wife drinks alcohol. 90, I'd say actually I've made a lot of sober friends recently. I'd say 80% of my friends drink alcohol. You know, it's not for everyone, but for me, it's the best thing. I cannot
Yeah.
mix with alcohol. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
And I was like ready to start sharing, and I created an Instagram account in 2022, January, right around the time I made the post. And I just really
Yeah.
wanted to double down on the fact that you don't need to make your life any more complicated to reflect on or to revisit your relationship with alcohol. Because here's the
Mhm.
thing, I was fooled with the fact that because I didn't necessarily look like I struggled from the outside with alcohol, that everything
Of
was
course.
okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's so far from the truth. So that I
Yeah.
was like, I want people to I wanna share my story because I'm sure there's a couple people that can relate maybe to what I've been going through,
A couple
and
million.
I
Yeah.
and I don't want people to wait. "Oh, I gotta be
Mhm.
sober for 5 years before I could do this,"
Mhm.
or whatever. Be proud of myself and just look
Yeah.
at myself in the mirror and say, "Hey, look, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm showing up for myself, and I should feel good."
I think there's so much around that piece on identity, and I think that that's so key because I think that we have these measures that we use to identify ourselves that make us feel that pride and give us that sense of accomplishment that we feel comfortable showing up as. And I know for me, it started as a team Canada level goalie. I mean, like that was rock star. I loved being that goalie, that was such an easy identity. And then when I got sick, exactly the same as you. I mean, nobody knew I was dealing with mental illness for the first 10 years I was dealing with it. And I wouldn't have had it any other way. I felt pathetic. I didn't want people to know. And it took watching the death of a young girl to really make me understand, like, this is not okay. Like, I'm part of the reason that people don't know there's help out there. I'm part of the secret, and I don't want to be part of the secret. And then I started speaking, and it was another label that I put on myself, this kind of advocacy label, this like person that I could be really proud of. And for a while there, that almost became negligent as well because of what we were talking about earlier, that sense of feeling like now I have to be perfect in my advocacy. I have to be perfect at mental health. I have to be perfect at being sober. I have to be perfect in every community that I represent. And I realized again that hanging on to that sense of identity that came with that was so detrimental. And I still struggle with it. I'm coming into it, with other aspects of my life that I can't talk about yet. But it's, I've just had these moments where truly identifying what matters to me and the person that I am has become less and less about the identity that other people see in me, and it's become a lot more about just being true to what makes me feel like the best version of myself. And
Mm,
there's a lot of cycles I think there where you have to learn again to be proud of yourself, and I'm in one. And
mhm.
it's just so I appreciate you so much for sharing your story and your journey. And like the truth behind it is, it's so complicated. Whether you want complexity in
Yeah,
your life or not, it is a complicated journey, and the
it
complexity of
is.
it is it's huge. And for you to make that step, people don't truly understand necessarily how much goes into actually hitting enter when you're ready to make that post, when you're ready to just
Mhm.
come clean. And as positive as it can be for you, it comes with a lot of work. So I applaud you. I'm so proud of you. I am like I'm so grateful to be meeting you right now, and I'm happy to bring down that like sober average for your friend group. I'm good with that too. Um,
No,
I think you're at like
thank you.
79% now.
Yeah.
Um, but going going back, I mean, in terms of your journey in sobriety, so 5 years, that's incredible. One day is incredible. I mean, I don't want to downplay it at all. One day of sobriety is an achievement. And to anybody out there listening to this, to make a change in your life for the better, to bring yourself from an unmanageable life into a place where you feel true to yourself and are stopping that reliance on external factors to find your own happiness. Kudos. I mean, it's a hell of an adventure. But what are the things that have helped you to maintain that? Because you've mentioned
Mhm.
first therapist, I'm sure a wonderful person, maybe not the right one to get to you at the level
Yep,
you needed to get to. Second
yep,
therapist, I love him dearly. Mystery therapist on Bloor Street, well done for sitting
yep,
and holding space for somebody who took the initiative to go in and break themselves open. Because at the end of the
yep.
day, therapists are only as good as the work we put in with them. I mean,
Totally.
you don't go to
100%.
a therapist to be fixed. You go to a therapist
Yep.
to explore and learn yourself and be be true or not.
Yep. Yep.
And you get it, you get out what you put in. And
100%.
then a group at CAMH, fantastic, great, facility, amazing programs. What else has supported you? Have you done ongoing programs? Are you comfortable saying? Is this something that you actively, or is this something you do on your own?
Yep. So my maintenance now looks like it's with the community that I'm building and that I've built and the people around me who lift me up.
Amazing.
And that's what keeps me going.
Yeah,
Right. I during this whole process, I discovered that I actually really enjoy kind of connecting with others, hearing
yeah,
about their story,
yeah.
helping maybe inspire or guide or just be a sounding board. I
Mhm.
really enjoyed that. So I was like, you know
Excellent.
what? Why don't we look at something like life coaching? So I
Amazing.
got my life coaching certification,
Where did you get that?
and I got that out of BC
Incredible.
online, and it was fantastic. And then I kind of leveraged my experience with my lived experience with alcohol and struggle, and so started a alcohol free life coaching business, and
Amazing.
that's what I've been doing. It's been fantastic. I'm meeting people all over Canada, all over the U.S.,
Mhm.
Europe. So I do group coaching, and
Mhm.
I do also one on one coaching.
Yeah.
So I truly that is I know there's probably something to be said, like similar to what you were sharing earlier about really, that's great you're doing for others, but there's probably an element of like, what is it, also for me. But here's the thing
Mhm.
that I'll say is that in our groups that we have, I take the opportunity because it's
Yeah.
not the Luke show. It's not like Luke's the expert. Hey, everyone, let's listen to Luke. He's going to share for an hour. We're all going to be
Yeah.
better. That's not the
Yeah.
vibe.
Yeah.
It's I take the opportunity to also truly share what's going on
Yeah.
in my life.
Amazing.
Like we're in this together. It's
Yeah.
not like I said, it's not about me. So in those sessions, I truly feel like I do a lot of deep reflection on what's going
Mhm.
on in my life, all aspects.
Mhm.
Like you know, sobriety is one piece, like we talked about,
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
other goals that I have, or whatever the case is, and I come out of those meetings always feeling better than I did
Yeah.
when I joined,
Yeah.
and until that changes, I'll continue to do that. So there's that. There's
Yeah.
the online community that I'm building together,
Yeah.
in coaching. But then there's
Yeah.
also another thing that I've done. It's been exactly a year now.
Mhm.
Is I've been really focusing on like the running community
Yeah.
in Toronto mostly because that's where I live, but also virtually,
Mhm.
where I started a run club called the Sober
Okay.
Striders,
Amazing.
and we run, once a week. It's not like an elite running club. Like actually, running is probably the least important part of our run club. We're actually more
Mhm.
of a social club disguised as a run club, and it's
Okay.
an opportunity for people to connect and meet other cool badasses in person.
I
We
love it.
every run we have a walk option. It's a 5K run or a 2K walk.
Okay.
So even if you hate running, you can come walk. And
Mhm.
then we end up at a alcohol free bottle shop called Bevies, which is
Nice.
become a friend of mine. We go there, we hang out, we go to Healthy Planet. He's been very much invested in the community and wants to support me in what I'm doing. So they host us a lot, and it's just about bringing people
Amazing.
together. And what I
Amazing.
love most about that is that, like I said, I feel like we're introducing people to running. It's not
Yeah.
for everybody, but it's like I'm
No.
seeing more and more people joining our runs who
Mhm.
hated running and are just
Yeah.
coming to try something different.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to meet other, similar goal oriented or whatever it is, people with similar goals.
Mhm.
And to do that in person,
Mhm.
it is incredible. Like online is great. Don't get
Amazing.
me wrong. I love my online community. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Actually, I've met a lot of them through different travels, and
Yeah.
that'll continue to evolve. But like the in-person community of like meeting this, people face to face and just
Yeah.
being like these connections it fills my cup
You know
1000%.
what's coming next, right? Do you know what's
What's
coming
that?
next? When
I don't
when?
know.
Where do I have to go?
Yeah.
Where do
Y-
I get to come running?
you come anytime, Kendra.
Yeah, I need
anytime.
the details because I you know
Okay.
what? I'm in that place right now where I'm going to give myself over to the fact that I need support too,
No,
and so I would
you're gonna
happily join in.
you'll make some awesome friends because it's
Yeah,
really, really good people. Our next run is actually on November 30th. A few people on the team, actually, there's 10 people on our club who just ran to Montreal. Like they rented an RV and they actually took turns running.
that's
And they,
incredible.
anyways, so we're doing a November awareness, men's mental health on
Even
November
better.
30th.
Okay,
We're meeting at the headquarters, November's headquarters downtown, and
okay.
on Saturday, November 30th, and we're going to go for a run, and then there's going to be a few people talking. It's just going to be a nice community, fun thing. So if you're
I'm
around,
in.
would
I'm
love
in.
Kendra,
It's my
would
mom's
love for you to come.
birthday, but I know that my mom for her birthday would love nothing more than to see me getting back on my feet, so I'm in.
May, what about bring your mom?
You know what? I'll check it out. We're going through it on this end as well.
Yeah,
We
yeah, yeah,
just lost my father just about 6 months ago. So
yeah.
it's
I'm so
we're taking it a day at a time. So I
yeah.
certainly
I
won't
know.
make any
I
commitments
feel
for her, but
I feel for you. I lost my dad in 24. It's been 10 years since my dad passed.
tell
So I'm
me it
sorry
gets
to hear.
easier.
Oh, yeah,
Just lie to me. Just today, just lie to me. I'm fine with it.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm really sorry to
It.
hear that.
Yeah, I know. And he never got to see me. He never saw me get sober. Never saw me get married. Never saw me have my daughter. He missed my brother. Same thing. So it's tough. But what I say,
I'm
Kendra, is
yeah.
our dads are looking. They're actually enjoying this conversation right now.
Of course
They're
they
they're
are.
they're they're looking down at us, and they're like,
Yeah,
"I'm
yeah.
proud." You know.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
my father was my best friend, and, I don't think there's a day in his life that I didn't know that. So, I'm, whew, 'kay.
he's with you. He's with you, Kendra. No doubt about that. He's with
Every
you.
second, or I wouldn't be
He's
standing
proud of
still.
you. He's
Yeah,
big time proud of you.
I appreciate you. Um, just for self-preservation, I'm gonna move on. We don't need to make this that show. Um, so and I don't know what we're gonna move on to, maybe the weather. No. No, I appreciate you, friend, and I will absolutely, like you, running and physicality is something that has been huge for me in my recovery in every part of my life, and it's also one of those things that I've had to be careful that I'm quick to realize that I love to rely on physical activity to not feel as much as I do to feel. So
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
it's this precarious balance where it's like, okay, I know I need to do this. I know I need to incorporate this in my wellness, but I also need
Yep.
to be aware of the fact that I don't need to run 10K a day to prove anything to myself, and that
Yep.
I need to use it as a benefit, not as a mask. And
Yep.
I love the humbling moments where I get to sit here and pull myself apart. And I say that very sarcastically.
Mhm.
But I am certainly pulling apart right now and realizing that there's everything can be used as good, and it can be used as an excuse, and I'm
Yep.
finding the perfect balance right now, and
Yep.
I'm in search of. Certainly haven't
Yep.
yet, but I'm getting there. But
Yeah.
I would love to do more in the space of running with you, because I think that feels intentional to me. I think it feels intentional to associate running with connection and
Yes.
community and
Yep.
support and things that I am lacking.
That's right.
And so it's yeah, I'd really love that.
Yep. Absolutely.
So you're going to become a running buddy as long as you promise not to do, like, how fast do you run 5K?
It
No, be
depends.
honest. Tell me. Tell me. I got to know.
Well, y
You qualified for
here's
the
the thing
Boston
with running.
Marathon. I want to know the fast time. I just want to hear it so I can be impressed.
um, here's the thing. Running is everyone talks about the speed, but you want to become a good runner,
Yeah.
is you need to run slow.
Okay.
So, it sounds totally contradictory, especially as a hockey player like you.
Yeah.
Like, I played a
I
lot of
want to go
hockey. It's like,
hard.
we wanna go hard. We want okay,
Yeah.
like, it's a shift, it's game time.
Yeah.
Let's go as hard as we can, and that's
Yeah.
the like, right? I'm sure you're the same in the gym, okay? Let's feel the pain,
Let's burn
and let's
out.
go for
Yeah.
it. Running's the opposite.
Okay.
and I learned that the hard way.
Mm.
Running is about, you know, one, consistency, and
Mhm.
it's about showing up, but it's about keeping, a steady, slow pace. It's
Okay.
crazy. You wanna become fast, go slow. Yeah, you have specific workouts which you
Okay.
do go all out, but it's very
Yeah.
prescribed and it's for a certain distance. So it's either 400-meter repeats, 800-meter, 1 kilometer repeats, stuff like that.
Okay.
But it's like if I'm putting my shoes on, I'm going for a run, I go slow.
Uh,
I go slow.
I
So
like it. I
right?
like it.
But when it's time to throw down, I'm ready to throw down. And when it's a race,
Yeah.
you're obviously
You're
throwing
there to
down,
race.
but you're in a race, right? So
Yep.
uh, it's hard to go slow. I'll say
I
that,
like it.
especially as an athlete like
You know
you,
what
it's going
though?
to be
I
hard to go slow.
No, but I love that so much because I think that that's such a brilliant point, and I think actually probably the greatest way we could possibly wrap this up is the notion of it's better to go slow because it's so true of everything in life. If we are always racing to the max, if we are trying to function to prove that we're okay,
Yeah,
we will forever fall back and we will forever burn out. And I think that
burnout,
it's the long game, right? It's the ability
totally.
to learn all of the really uncomfortable, hard little things and do them consistently every day that makes the long game so much easier and
Yeah,
achievable. You don't make the Boston Marathon if you don't learn how to take it a step at a time.
that's right. Is exactly it. Well said. Consistency. What I like to say is consistency over intensity. Like it's better to show up. I call it, a 5 out of 10 effort than it is to show up, once or twice a week at a 9 or a 10 out of 10 effort. Because what happens is you end up, with burnout, but you end up like fearing the thing. It's like, oh, I got to go for a run again. This is going to be
Yeah.
pain the entire time. I don't want to do that. Like, this
No,
sucks. But it's like
I love
when you're
that.
doing it right, it's like, okay, it's actually gonna be pretty chill. It's actually gonna be pretty chill.
I love it, and
So
that's where we find peace, right? Is learning to find the chill in the hard things.
and to put the damn shoes on or get out the front door or just show up to the thing, whatever the
I
thing
love it.
is, a meeting, going out the door, meeting a friend, going to a new group run where you don't know anybody and it's a little scary and there's a voice inside of you that says, you know what, maybe I can make an excuse why I don't go today. But to show
Mhm.
up, to go there, right?
Mhm.
I'll guarantee you 9.9 out of 10 times you go to those things, you're going to be happy you went. You're going to come back and you're going to feel better than you felt going.
Yeah.
And that's it. Just show up. Show
Look, I
up.
love it. I love it. Showing up is what I preach and what I practice, and I don't always do it well, but I will do it imperfectly every single time somebody lets me.
Before we wrap here, I have to say this. My daughter's into hockey, okay?
Okay.
She's 5, so she's
Yeah.
playing house league, but U8. She's playing
I
with
love
girls
it.
2 ages older than her, and she's
I
little
love it.
like me. She loves
Yeah.
hockey, so
Yeah.
I can't wait to tell her that we were chatting. I'll show her some pictures of you and
Well,
the whole
bring her
9
out
yards, so
November 30th.
bring on November 3rd. She'd love to take some pictures with you and stuff like that
I'd
because
love to.
it's like the hockey program. So she plays at Leaside Wildcats.
Okay.
It's
Wildcats.
like
Yeah.
it's like top notch. Like I'm
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
impressed, and there's so many female hockey players
Yeah.
because of people just like you, Kendra,
Yeah.
just like you, and what you're
It's
doing.
it's funny, right? Like you try to find pride in being one of the pioneers, and then you try not to create the synonym of, like, old. But you know what? I
Experienced, Kendra,
there's that
experienced.
there's that piece when the PWHL hit, and every older hockey player that
Yeah,
just had that little tinge of, "Shit, if it wasn't just 10 years ago, I would have
yeah.
loved this. I
Oh,
would have
I know.
loved to have been a part of
I
this."
can
But you
just
know what?
imagine.
So much
But
pride in being able to be part of a group of women who are part of the reason that that is in existence now. How
1000%. That
incredible.
doesn't happen with
How
people like you,
incredible.
Kendra. That doesn't
Yeah, how
happen.
incredible. I
It's
and
so
I
amazing.
appreciate that. I do
No, it's
appreciate
so
that, and you know what? It's so cool watching the game and how it's changing and how it's growing, and the girls in it and the girls running it are phenomenal people. I know a lot of them, and,
so cool.
yeah, look forward to meeting your daughter.
So I gotta show pictures when I pick her up from school tonight,
I
and then
love
we'll
it.
see you on the 30th. I'm looking
I
forward to
love it
that.
so much. Okay, excellent. Well, we will be in touch offline, my friend. I appreciate you so much for having this conversation with me,
Appreciate
and
you. Thank you.
thank you for holding space. Because little fact I learned about myself in therapy today, how does it take 45 years to learn this about yourself? I am scared to ask for
Mhm,
what I need because I am fearful of letting other people down. And I
mhm.
needed that therapy appointment this morning, and I was scared to reach out to you and ask if I could push it because I was
Ah,
scared you'd be like, "Screw it, I'm not doing the podcast then." So,
no,
you know what?
not at all.
Thank you for being proof that it's okay to ask for what I need.
I'm
I
glad we did
appreciate it.
this.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. Thank you so much, Luke. Have an incredible day, and say hi to your daughter for me.
Thank you.